Hello everybody and welcome to the Sovereign Village Project. Many of you are probably familiar with the plant comfrey. That's this guy here. And in addition to its medicinal properties and its forage properties, for example, chickens like it, in addition to that, it also is known for its power of dynamic accumulation, how it reaches a deep taproot way down into the soil, pulls up those nutrients into its leaves, and then people chop and drop those leaves. They cut it or they break it off, and they lay that down on the soil, where it will break down and it will feed and become really good quality soil. However, I wanted to make the point today that if you don't have comfrey or you haven't propagated as far and wide as you want, you can still use other plants, including and especially including weeds. And this is really how I use weeds in this system. If we look here, these are all weeds that popped up on some really damaged soil. I have previously done a video about that and how we're working on improving the soil. This is where the excavator scraped everything bare down to really bad clay. And so nature is already improving this for us. Like if we abandon any piece of land on planet Earth, no matter how degraded, nature would eventually rectify it, and that always starts to occur instantly. And that's what's happened on this site, is all these plants are all volunteers. It's just all seeds that were already in the ground, and they're popping up. And a lot of them have these big broad leaves, and when you look at that, you kind of can deduce that they're probably doing the same job as comfrey. They probably have a really deep taproot, so let's take a look. Well, most of it broke off, but as you can see, it was already pretty considerable, but it would probably go about twice that length. So, for such a new site, this has really only been stripped bare pretty recently, a few weeks ago. We're already getting this massive amount of growth. Now, I would not normally pull the whole plant. I would allow that to keep growing, and I would simply break off the leaves. Chop and drop the leaves, let them fall to the ground, and then that plant will draw more nutrients up and do the same, because we're really trying to improve just this top layer of soil. Then I can get my nitrogen fixers in, I can get my clover in and such, and it's going to continue to accumulate nitrogen and other really good things and put it into the soil for us. But this is a system that doesn't just need to work on a yard site or in damaged soil. This can work in your garden. This is how I use my weeds as an asset rather than a liability. I really don't try to remove all the weeds from my system. I want large weeds growing on the margins of my beds of where I'm doing my annual production and such, and I'll just chop and drop those weeds just like anything else. Your soil doesn't know the difference between this leaf and a comfrey leaf, except for maybe there's a little bit more good stuff in a comfrey leaf. Maybe it's accumulated more nutrients, but this is still accumulating a lot, and it's going to do a really good job for you. And so it's a way to rethink weeds and not have to fight them. And when they become an asset, your whole gardening experience becomes so much better. It's really incredible. So I would encourage you to really think that way, especially have a damaged site or just around your garden beds. Remember, any weed that can be done like that. Like I never fight any kind of grasses. I just don't fight anything. To me, they're all tools for me to use, and they provide my mulch for me in a lot of ways. So I encourage you to explore the idea, experiment with it, and kind of spread this knowledge, because we really need to reject that weeds are bad mindset. That's really brought to us by Roundup and Monsanto and all of these chemical companies that are trying to interfere with the natural process of growing. So weeds are friends, not enemies. Chop and drop them. They'll work for you. And in the meantime, stay safe, be well, and happy homesteading.